The world of fights was shocked when Jake Paul collapsed following a brutal knockout by Iron Mike Tyson. This wasn't your usual knockout though, as knockouts are expected when Iron Mike Tyson is involved. It was shocking how quickly Mike could make the YouTuber turn the box, or kiss the canvas. The two heavyweight titans met in the ring for a haphazard sparring session prior to their fight on November 15, 2024. But Tyson wasn't messing around. Jake didn't just fall to the canvas, he was folded. Knockouts in sparring don't usually make headlines like this one, but this one has boxing professionals and pundits alike buzzing. They're all asking the same question: is Jake okay? The way he collapsed seems like Tyson's punch is like a sledgehammer. So Jake might have just learned that the hard way. Sure, knockouts don't usually end careers, but this one is raising questions about Jake's entire strategy. Alright, fight fans, let's discuss what truly happened during that sparring session this past weekend.
Good, bro. Good work.
Jake, being Jake, entered the ring with his typical bravado, acting as though he had this under control. He was trash-talking like he always does, walking around the ring with all the confidence in the world. And get this, he even had the audacity to call Tyson a sick chicken. That's right, Jake tried to clown one of the most dangerous men in boxing history. Jake had complete faith that he was going to take the legend down, probably believing this was just another stepping stone like all those retired MMA guys or washed-up NBA players he had faced before. But, oh man, reality hit hard. Literally fast forward to just a few seconds into the first round of sparring. Jake was bobbing and trying to feel Tyson out, thinking he was in control, but Tyson wasn't playing those games. Then Mike delivered a perfectly timed punch that sent Jake crashing to the canvas. In an instant, Jake received the most brutal reality check of his life. It's one thing to train yourself to get excited and believe you're ready, but it's quite another to be facing Mike Tyson in the ring. The fight world was stunned, and Jake's ego was crushed along with his body. But let's face it, Jake underestimated his opponent. After all, this wasn't some faded MMA fighter or retired basketball player. This was Mike Tyson, the man who defined modern boxing. The guy who sent grown men into early retirement with his punches. Because he had been training for a while and had earned a few wins, Jake believed he could simply go in and defeat a legend. However, you can never defeat a master. To put things in perspective, let's talk about some of Tyson's biggest fights. Tyson is the epitome of a beast in the ring. He has that raw power and killer instinct that doesn't fade with age. If Jake thought he could handle that, he just learned the hard way that you never underestimate a legend. First thing, Trevor Berbick versus Mike Tyson. This bout made Tyson famous and made him the youngest heavyweight champion in history. Berbick was expected to be a tough, seasoned fighter, but Tyson floored him in the second round with a vicious combination that left the man staggering around the ring as if he'd just been hit by a truck. After that knockout, the man was unable to even stand up straight. It was one of those moments that made everyone realize Tyson was not someone to be trifled with. Jake, this is not some influencer trying to establish themselves. Instead, you're up against the man who dominated the sport when he was barely out of his teens. Lastly, Tyson versus Larry Holmes. Larry Holmes wasn't just any fighter. He was a legend in his own right. Before entering the ring with Tyson, Holmes had only been knocked down once in his whole career, but Mike completely destroyed him in the fourth round when Tyson entered with his signature ferocity. Lastly, let's talk about Tyson versus Michael Spinks, which was the fight that had everyone on edge. Tyson landed punch after punch until Holmes hit the canvas, and when Holmes got up, Tyson put him down again. That was a fight where the old guard of boxing realized that the new king had arrived. So Jake, you really thought you could go to toe with that level of fighter? Although Jake, a YouTuber, put on gloves and started calling himself a boxer overnight, you can't expect to outbox a guy who has been destroying legends since the 1980s paramedic. However, Spinks was undefeated, and people thought he might actually have a chance to beat Tyson. Spoiler alert, because Tyson knocked him out in 91 seconds in the first round. Yes, you know it's bad when Jake Paul had to crawl out of the gym following his vicious knockout loss to Mike, the YouTuber turned boxer, because he was in so much pain, it was unbearable. I mean, who would have thought that a simple sparring session would end with Jake looking like he just got run over by a truck? It doesn't get more real than this. We're not talking about some minor bruise or black eye here. Jake was legit dying in pain just shooting. This wasn't your typical knockout where you just get up. Jake Paul, who usually walks around like he's untouchable, had to be wheeled out of the gym and rushed straight to the hospital. Act like it's nothing and shake it off, please. Jake was in excruciating pain, and it's obvious that Tyson's blow did more than just knock him down. It gravely injured him. According to the hospital, Jake has a cracked rib, and the doctors predict he won't be able to play for a while. This was not just another fight or sparring gone wrong. Rather, it was the kind of reality check that shakes you to your core. Jake had been riding high on his confidence, thinking he could take on legends. But Tyson quickly reminded him that this isn't some YouTube stunt, and if you thought a broken rib was as wild as it was going to get, this is where it gets worse. I'm going to take over the boxing world has to sit out for a bit because Tyson broke him both physically and mentally. Jake Paul has always been that person who gets carried away by his own arrogance. He continually gets himself worked up, believing he is unbeatable. And that is just the attitude he brought into this sparring match. However, the guy didn't just trash talk. Tyson placed wagers, and I'm not talking about pennies on the nose. If I lose this kind of bet, I'll buy you supper. No, when it came to wagering that he could beat Tyson in this sparring session, Jake went all out. You can only imagine the degree of overconfidence required to gamble against Mike freaking Tyson. That's peak Jake Paul right there.
A little teary-eyed. But, yeah, and then I wake up the next day and, like, have a phone call, like, with my lawyers.
Jake is crying because, of course, he isn't paying up the man's current lawsuits because of these bets, but instead of accepting responsibility like a champion. He lost not only the sparring match, but also a significant portion of his wealth. Yes, you heard correctly. This guy's bank account has taken a serious hit due to his bragging issues. He put so much on the line thinking he would be the one to defeat Tyson. But all he ended up with was a bruised ego, a broken rib, and an empty wallet. Jake is coming up with all kinds of justifications, saying that the BET wasn't real because it was simply sparring, but the BET was actually about the sparring. Tyson didn't step into that ring for an exhibition. He was there to show Jake exactly what's up, and Jake lost fair and square now. You trying to backtrack, saying this wasn't the real fight, like somehow that's going to make the embarrassment go away. But the truth is Jake was running his mouth, that thinking he could hang with a living legend. And now he's got to face the consequences. And trust me, those consequences are huge. The lawsuits alone could wipe out more than just a chunk of Jake's wealth. We're talking about the kind of hit that leaves you hurting, not just financially but emotionally too. Let's be real, Jake's entire image is built on being that loud, confident guy who can back it up in the ring. He's got fan sponsorships, and this whole influencer-turned-boxer persona that's made him rich and famous. But this is a serious blow. You can't talk all that smack, bet a ton of money, and then back out when things don't go your way. Now Jake's trying to save face, but it's not working. No one's buying the excuse. It was just sparring or not. You made the BE, Jake, and now you've got to deal with the consequences. The entire affair has undoubtedly seriously disrupted the battle plans. On November 15, 2024, Jake and Mike were scheduled to square off in the highly awaited match at the AT&T Arena. However, due to Jake's damaged rib and the mounting lawsuits from his foolish bets, the fight may not go through as planned. Despite this, fans were excited for the bout, boxing enthusiasts, and even casual sports watchers on YouTube. But things are starting to look precarious right now. It's unlikely that Jake will be able to devote enough time to his training given the numerous legal issues he faces. It's amazing how one sparring session can completely change the course of events. If the fight is postponed, rescheduled, or even canceled, it will be devastating for the fans who have been looking forward to this matchup. That's all I have for you today, fighters. What are your thoughts on Jake Paul's world collapsing in light of what Mike did? Please share them in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news. I'll see you in the next video.